Welcome to Holly Homestead in the Making. My name is Charity, and today we are going to make stuffed peppers by Once Upon a Shelf. And I wanted to begin by saying I'm really sorry for my inconsistency with producing content. Life has been absolutely insane. I will not make excuses. I know everyone's life is crazy, but I have made some adjustments, so hopefully I'll be more consistent in the future. Please just hang in there with me. I'm trying really hard. So I have prepared these peppers by cutting them in half, de-stemming them, cutting any blemishes off of them, and de-seeding them. And as you can tell, I have a very special helper with me this day. It's my stepdaughter, Sophia, and she will be helping me through the course of pretty much this entire meal, which was just fantastic because I really enjoy cooking with the kids and non-stress environments like this one. We were on no time crunch. We had nowhere to be. This was not our supper. So as you can tell, we're just being silly and goofy and having a good time. Once all these peppers are massaged in the avocado oil, and if you have a spritzer, you don't have to do this step. You probably could just spritz the oil over the top of them. Mine just broke, so I just massage it in, making do with what I got. Once I have them completely massaged in the oil, I will sprinkle about a half teaspoon of salt over the top. I did just eyeball it, and I would not skip this step unless you have like a really low sodium diet that requires you not to consume hardly any sodium at all. I would not skip this, and I'm going to tell you why. So it affects the flavor, but also the salt. When you're roasting these peppers, it kind of pulls the moisture out of the pepper, and it helps that roasting process. So if you do have a low sodium diet, maybe this is where I would put the salt and leave it out of the other components of this recipe. So we're going to bake these at 425 on the middle rack for about 20 minutes or so. You do want these peppers to have some substance left to them once they come out of the roaster. See, this is what they look like when they come out, because you're going to cook them again once the meat mixture is made up. Now I've got my Instapot out, and I'm going to start making up the rice, and I'm going to begin by taking some sausage grease that I've rendered when I was cooking sausage to brown my rice in. And I've said this to you guys over and over, and I'll probably say it over and over again. Always save your grease or your fat that comes off your meat, anytime meat, bacon, sausage, even hamburger meat. I actually made bread the other day and used hamburger grease in the place of avocado oil, and it turned out fantastic. Super buttery flavor, and I'm sure it was more nutritious because it had the gelatin in it as well. We'll go more into that as I experiment with it. So you want this oil to get good and hot. Once it has, this day I was doubling the recipe. So I did 1 cup of uncooked rice, and please don't come at me because that rice is not rinsed. I know it's not rinsed. I'm sorry. I do it sometimes and I don't do it sometimes. I just haven't made it enough of a habit that I always remember before it's too late. So I'm going to just saute this rice up into this sausage grease. And as you can see here, it's starting to look really good and toasted and brown. I actually think it was more toasted in person than it came through on the camera. But this is kind of what you're looking for before you add any moisture. I'm using jasmine rice, and jasmine rice is a 3-to-1 ratio, I do believe. So I had to have 3 cups of liquid for 1 cup of rice. And I'm using my own home canned chicken broth, which is honestly a milestone for me to be able to start utilizing this skill set that I've longed for so long. I mean, I did my research on YouTube and all that, but it's just a difference in actually having applied skill versus just, research skill. In this rice, I do include about 1.5 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. Now, I'm going to tell you, if I had to do it over with again, I probably would omit this Italian seasoning out of this rice. And I'm going to tell you why. With the oregano that was in the meat mixture, it kind of became super overwhelming for us. We're not real herb Ford people, so maybe if you are, you'll really enjoy this. I do have a question about the Instapot though for you guys. Every time that I cook rice in it, I get the burnt food rice or the burnt food message on it. Is there something I'm doing wrong? I don't know. I gotta say, I think that this appliance is underutilized and it has a lot of array of uses, but I don't think this is the greatest one for it. This day it did turn out good. I did fluff that and everything. And as you can tell here, I'm testing the oil that I had in my cast iron just to see where we're at. And you see those little bit of bubbles, that pan's ready. So we're going to start sauteing our onion up in that. I think that's probably about 2 or 3 onions I've chopped up. And we're going to get those sauteed until they're translucent. I think we actually go a little bit beyond that because I let my daughter take over that. But that's okay because we do not like big chunks of onions in our food. We like them to be cooked to death. So she did it perfect. And it was funny because I was actually telling her I would put the onions in there because she would get them everywhere when it started popping. And then I made a big mess, so she was making fun of me. Here, they are pretty much the way that we like them. And I know that technically you're supposed to cook your meat and then saute your onions. That's supposed to be the proper function of it. That's not how we like it, so that's not how we do it. We don't always cook the proper way. We just cook the way that we like it. So I'm including my hamburger meat and I am doubling it. The one thing that is very unique about this recipe to me is you actually tenderize your hamburger meat. So you put a little bit of baking soda, I believe, and salt into your meat mixture, and then you let it set for about 20 minutes before you ever start cooking it. Once your meat mixture is completely browned, you're going to start including your garlic and your spices. And like I said, I am doubling it. So you just do according to the recipe if you're just doing a one-time ordeal. I always put my garlic in first and then kind of mix that around till it becomes a little bit aromatic. And then I'm going to start including my spices, which is going to include chili powder, cumin, and oregano. And what I like to do is I like to bloom these spices. So I'll put these spices in before I put any moisture. And there's still a little bit of grease or fat rendered in that pan that's not fully out, and that's how you bloom a spice, is you toast it, I guess, in some kind of fat or oil. And that's what we do this day. And I let it get a little bit aromatic so that the flavors will really pop. And that oregano that I just put in there, or that was cumin, but I'm about to put oregano in there, that is what counteract with that Italian seasoning in the rice that caused me to have to do some adjustments at the end, which I've never had to do, but I did this time around because of that Italian seasoning in the rice. So I probably would just leave it plain in the future. I'm going to mix this up just like you would with tacos or whatever, and kind of just get the flavors all throughout the meat before I add the tomato sauce. And in our family, we do something maybe a little strange, is I put this whole can of tomato sauce into, I think I was a little bit shy, but I put a whole can of tomato sauce into the meat mixture, and then I usually keep a little bit of tomato sauce on hand because he likes to top it in tomato sauce and cook it when you do the last heat up. And that is how he likes to do it. And that's how my mother-in-law and them like to do it too. I don't eat stuffed peppers, so I can't say, what I would do. But that's how they like to eat it, and it goes great. So I am going to reduce this tomato sauce in the meat, just kind of make it more concentrated. So we're going to stir it up and then, kind of reduce it down. And then I'll start adding chicken broth. I probably reduced this down a little bit too much to have to add all that chicken broth back into it. But I got to tell you, it turned out really good. So can't say that I regret it. Don't know that I would do it intentionally, but I'm not going to say that I'm going to try not to do it. And this is just that same jar of chicken broth that I had from earlier. And I'm just using that. I imagine that actually made it taste better. So, like I said, not hating it at all. Kind of a happy accident, I guess you'd say. I'm sorry about the kiddos in their pajamas. If you watch very many of my videos, you will notice my children are always in pajamas. They like to play in them. Like, they pretty much stay in them all day. I put regular clothes on them and they beg to get in pajamas. So at a certain point, you just give up. Now, when this gets the way I want it to look, I'm going to throw the rice in here. So pretty much all the components come together. I will continue to kind of reduce this down. I guess you're almost kind of making like a tomato gravy. And here's the rice that we're about to include. And I really like this because you don't have like dry components. You know, I like the fact that it's all mixed up and all incorporated, because we really like that tomato flavor. You know, the seasoning and all that. And it melds all together and creates just a really magical experience. Now, like I was telling you earlier, this time was really, really good. But it was not the best time I've ever made stuffed peppers. Actually, the best time I ever made them was with deer meat. I made them at my mom's, and they were, the meat mixture was so good. And I was telling you guys, I don't personally eat stuffed peppers because I'm kind of bland. I don't really like peppers or lots of herbs and stuff like that. But I do really enjoy this mixture. And I'm just using that chicken broth to get everything incorporated. I think we ended up using that whole jar, which worked out great. But I'm kind of bland and I don't like lots of flavors like that, you know. I like flavorful food, but I guess I'm just kind of got kitty taste buds. So we always have a mixture left over that does not fit inside of the peppers that I've made up. I always have more mixture than I do peppers. And what we usually do is we bake potatoes and we put them on baked potatoes. And oh my goodness, y'all, it is so good. And as I was editing this, I was actually sitting there thinking, like, this would be a fantastic, like, nacho dip or something like that. I really don't know why I haven't made up this mixture for that use alone, because it is absolutely bomb.com. I love it. My husband loves it. And even my daughter, Johanna, loves it. Now, Sophie, she did a taste test, as you'll see here in a minute. And she goes, it's really good, but it has rice in it. And I said, do you not like rice? She said, only at Los Vitales. So, I mean, she said the flavor was good. I guess if I had not included rice, maybe she would like it. I don't really know. Once your meat mixture and rice and all that comes together, you're going to include half of the cheese from your recipe. Here, I'm doing about 1.5 cups because I'm doubling it, but you're probably do about 3/4 cup. And you're going to just use all that cheese in the meat mixture, get it all incorporated. Now, once you include your cheese, you definitely want to be more cautious of scorching, because anytime you add a dairy to any kind of mixture like this, you're at an elevated risk of scorching or leaving a burnt flavor, because I don't know, something about dairy does that. I don't know the statistics behind it, but anyways, I get this all incorporated and we'll start stuffing our peppers here in a minute. But I will tell you, I'm going to have to do some adjustment on the seasonings on this, and normally I don't have to do that. I believe it was just that Italian seasoning being fresh that really threw everything out of whack for us, because that's all you could taste was kind of like that oregano flavor, and we're just not, I don't mind it there as long as it's a background flavor and not like a in your face flavor. This was more punch you in the throat flavor. So I think I ended up adding in, I didn't measure it of course, but I think I added about a 1/2 teaspoon to a full teaspoon of chili powder, and then probably about 2 teaspoons of salt, because I don't think I actually had salted it at all. And I feel you guys are about to come for me. I feel it. I know it. So let's get this out of the way. I will double dip that fork that I just did the taste test on. And I know that a lot of people get a lot of flack over that. I'm cooking for just my little family. And my husband, he does not care. I mean, he really does not care. He's watched the footage and did not care. And a matter of fact, my daughter comes and does a taste test. Nobody cares here, okay? And I know some people are really particular about that. We just don't happen to be that way. If you were to come to my house, obviously, I do have manners when I cook for the church or anything like that. I'm very careful to not double dip forks and stuff like that. But when it's just us, I don't really worry about it. We did switch to a spoon because it was a little easier, but it was super, super hot. I could not get over how hot that. I mean, of course, I was cooking it, but whew, burn your mouth alive hot. This is where she does that taste test and she cracks me up. But she liked it enough. She did do a taste test again once I adjust the flavors. And I'm just keeping this constantly stirred because you know what we talked about being at an elevator risk of scorching. We don't want that. Once you get a scorched flavor in it, there's no coming back from that, from what I can tell. But if y'all have advice on that, let me know because I've definitely scorched my fair share of things. I think if you cook enough, you will. And this is where I start adding to it. But like I said, this recipe is perfect just the way that it is typically. I think the only reason that I had the issue was because of how I seasoned the rice. And that is the one thing I would say. They're not real clear on how to do the rice. It just tells you that you're going to need prepared rice. So it says 1 cup of cooked rice, quinoa. Anyways, I'm not even going to try to say that in any grain. So that's what we did. I wonder if this would be good with like a pasta. Almost like a hamburger helper type ordeal. I bet that would be good. I've never tried that. It's funny when I edit these, like I'm never really that creative, I feel like, until I'm looking back on it, you know, and editing the footage and I'm like, oh, you know, it would be good for this or it would be good for that. So I guess in a way this has helped me. It's been an outlet for me to be more creative. So I think this time I'm like, yep, that's pretty good. After I burn my mouth. Y'all, and I'm going to apologize for all the weird faces I make. I typically try to edit all that out because I can't help it. I work with my face, and I know that sounds stupid, but when I'm working, I make facial expressions, and I can't stop. I know I'm being filmed. I've tried very desperately to not make facial expressions. I can't, and I usually edit it out, and I'm usually able to. This footage I had today, not so much, so you're going to see a bit of my weird side. That's okay though. You'll either like me or you'll love me. I mean, you'll either hate me or you'll love me. And it is what it is. I can't be no different. I am who I am. So I always adjust my, I adjust everything to taste. So if I taste it and I think it needs more salt, I just sprinkle more salt in it. I don't always measure that stuff out. When I was younger and newer to cooking, I know those kind of things caused me a lot of anxiety about not knowing exactly how much. But when you cook enough and you got enough mouths to feed, you just kind of got to get the food on the table. You don't have time for preciseness anymore, you know? That was more so when it was just me and I could be really particular. So here we are. I thought the last time was the final taste test. Let's see if this is it. I don't know. I can't tell. I think I said it was good. So, as soon as this meat mixture gets done, I just start immediately stuffing the peppers. I would not do that if I were you. This meat mixture is extremely, extremely hot. And it will burn your skin off your hands. Not literally, but it hurts. So there's really, especially, I'm making a full freezer meal. We did not even eat this day. I don't know why I was rushing it. I don't know why I did not let it cool down. But if I were you, I would allow this to cool down. So here you see me. I'm just going to stuff each one. Like I told you, there always is a mixture. A little bit of the mixture left over. It's usually enough for us to eat on about one time. Maybe 1.5 times. But there's my Johanna banana. She's playing with a balloon. I love having a YouTube channel for the simple fact of watching my children on screen grow and become their own. You know, she's developed so much since this was filmed, and it wasn't even filmed that long ago. So one thing I wanted to touch on before we get towards the end of this is you do want to make sure that if you are preparing these for now, you leave your oven on while you're getting everything together, because you're going to go ahead and pop these back in the oven once you top them with cheese for about 15 minutes or until the cheese is browned. Now, I'm not doing this, so as soon as they were done and come out of the oven, I went ahead and turned it off, because I like to prepare these for freezer meals. These are phenomenal freezer meals. You can freeze them. It says up to 3 months. I'm just going to tell you, do what you want to do. We always freeze them longer than that. I mean, I know that nutrition degrades after time, but we freeze it until it's eaten, to be honest, unless our power went out or something like that. We thought it was spoiled, but as long as it ain't spoiled, we're going to eat it. And you could leave it in your refrigerator for 2 days. So let's say you had a dinner party and you wanted to get everything ready. This would be a great meal to plan ahead. That way you could just roast these about 20 minutes before everybody came in, and it would be nice and fresh for everybody. We absolutely love having these. I really think I should maybe I should like triple the recipe the next time around and make enough that I could have some for potatoes or something for me when he eats it. I think that would be a great idea. So at the very end of this, we do include a taste test that I actually, once I'd started filming, realized I didn't have a taste test. So I just did it like 2 days ago. And it's kind of funny doing a taste test on something that's so tried and true for us, because I've made these for like 2 years. There you go. There's at least 6 meals ready for the freezer. Here we are doing our taste test on these stuffed peppers. And this is what it's looking like.
Whoa. These peppers are a little firmer.
See, I told you guys he liked it with a bite. Probably heated them up too long in the oven.
Good job, my daddy.
Love.
Is it as good as normal? Is it as good as the time I made it with deer? No, it's not. I already knew that. That time was just